Chapter 2: Computer Languages. Overview of this chapter. Computer Language. Machine Language 1 GL. Assembly Language 2 GL. High Level Language 3 GL. Fourth Generation Language 4 GL. Fifth Generation Language 5 GL. Computer Language. A language is a way to express our thoughts and ideas. People use different languages like English, Hindi, Tamil, etc. to communicate with each other. For effective communication between two people, they must use a language that both can understand. Similarly, to interact with a computer, we need to use a language that it can comprehend. When you want a computer to complete a task, you must provide instructions in a specific type of language known as a computer language or programming language. In the early days of computing, programs were written using only binary language. However, as technology advanced, many different computer languages were created, each with its own set of rules. The development of these computer languages can be categorized into different stages. Computer languages: machine language, assembly language, high-level languages, fourth generation languages, fifth generation languages. Machine language: first generation language 1 GL. Machine language, also known as binary language, is the basic language that a computer understands. This is the computer's native language and is made up of only two numbers, 0 and 1. In this language, the number 0 represents the off state and the number 1 represents the on state. When we give instructions to a computer in machine language, we do so by using long strings of 1s and 0s. These combinations tell the computer what to do. Since this language is made up of only two numbers, it can be very hard for humans to understand and work with. That's why machine language is mostly used by computers, and programmers use other languages that are easier to understand. These higher level languages are then translated into machine language so the computer can follow the instructions. Advantages: a computer can execute machine language instructions directly without any translation. The programs written using machine language take less time to execute and thus are faster. Disadvantages: machine language is difficult to use and understand. It is machine dependent. This means a program written for a specific machine does not execute on any other machine. It is difficult to find and correct errors in a program written in machine language. Assembly language, second generation language 2 GL. Assembly language uses alphanumeric symbols called mnemonics. Mnemonics are 2 or 3 letter abbreviations that denote some operations. For example, ADD for addition, sub for subtraction, etc. The instructions in assembly language are written using mnemonics instead of OS and ones. Since the computer does not understand mnemonics, they need to be translated into machine language to get executed. This job is done by assembler, which is a translator that converts assembly language code into executable machine code. Assembly language: input, assembler; output, machine language. Advantages. Assembly language is easier to use and understand as compared to machine language. It is easier to find and correct errors in assembly language. The programs written using assembly language can be easily modified. Disadvantages. Similar to machine language, assembly language is machine dependent, means programs written for one computer cannot run on other computers. An assembler is needed to translate assembly language into machine language. Assembly language programs execute slower as compared to machine language programs. Do you know? Machine language and assembly language are collectively known as low-level languages. High-level language, third-generation language, FreeGL. Writing programs in machine or assembly language requires users to understand computer hardware. To solve this problem, high-level languages HLL were developed, which are easier to use and similar to human languages. High-level languages use words and symbols like English instead of binary digits or complex codes. Some popular high-level languages include COBOL, Fortran, Basic C, C++, and Java. Programs written in high-level languages need to be changed into machine language so that computers can execute them. This is done using language translators, which come in two types. Do you know? The high-level language Fortran was specifically created for engineers and scientists to handle complex calculations, whereas COBOL was developed to meet the needs of business users for managing data and transactions. Compiler. A compiler is a program that translates the entire high-level program code, source code, into machine language code, object code, all at once. It checks for errors in the entire program and shows them together. Interpreter. An interpreter also converts high-level language into machine language, but it does this one line at a time. It shows errors for each line as it goes and moves to the next line only after fixing the mistakes. Advantages. High-level language is easier to use and understand. It is machine independent, so programs written in a high-level language on one computer can run on any other computer with few or no changes. It is easier to modify the high-level language programs. Disadvantages. A language translator is needed to convert high-level language program into machine language. High-level language programs execute slower as compared to machine and assembly language programs. Do you know? Lady Ada Lovelace is considered the world's first computer programmer. She was an English mathematician and writer. Fourth generation language, 4GL. Fourth generation language, 4GLs are very advanced, high-level programming languages that closely resemble human languages, making them easier to understand and use. Unlike other programming languages, 4GLs focus on simplifying the coding process and making it more intuitive for users. Advantages. 4GLs allow programmers to write programs quickly, reducing the time needed for development. Because they use simple language and symbols, they are easier for beginners to learn compared to other programming languages. The user-friendly design helps programmers make fewer mistakes while writing code. Disadvantages. programmers have less control over how the program works, which might be limiting for complex tasks. Sometimes programs written in 4GLS can run slower than those written in lower-level languages due to the extra translation needed. 4GLS may not be suitable for all types of applications, particularly those that require detailed hardware control or specific performance optimization. Do you know? The first code and compiler was developed in 1952 for the Mark I computer. The language Fortran was developed at IBM in the mid-1950s and became the first widely used high-level general-purpose programming language. Fifth-generation language 5GLS. Fifth-generation language 5GLS is the most advanced type of computer language. Instead of writing multiple lines of code to develop a program, it uses a graphical interface, allowing users to create programs by clicking on images and buttons. 5GLS mainly used in neural networks and artificial intelligence research. The goal of these programming languages is to develop applications which can respond to natural or human language input and are capable of self-learning. Some examples of 5GLS are Lisp, Prolog, OPS5 and Mercury. Advantages: decision-making machines can be developed. More system automation, thus reducing the efforts of programmers. Fifth-generation languages help create smart applications that can learn and improve, like virtual assistants that understand your voice commands. They allow computers to understand and respond to human language, making it simpler for people to talk to machines. Disadvantages: programs are more complicated as compared to the programs written in other languages. Extraordinary programming skills are required. Using fifth-generation languages can be difficult because they involve advanced ideas like artificial intelligence, which may require special training. Check your memory. Whenever you want the computer to perform a task, you need to give instructions to it in a specific language called computer language or programming language. Machine language, also called binary language, is the native language of a computer. That is, it is the language that a computer understands. Assembly language uses alphanumeric symbols called mnemonics. Mnemonics are 2 or 3-letter abbreviations that denote some operations. High-level language, HLL, is an English-like language in which instructions are written using English words and mathematical symbols instead of using binary digits or mnemonics. Fifth-generation language, 5GL, is the latest generation of computer languages. Instead of writing lines of codes to create a program, it uses a graphical interface to develop a program.